Hey guys, it's Goosebumps Completionist. Today I'm bringing you a book review from the Slappyworld book series, and it's book number 4, Please Do Not Feed the Weirdo. I'm going to say off the bat, I had a lot of people recommend this book to me. Even, people I trust in the Discord, a lot of people were saying this book is great. And then one of my closest friends that I have in real life, who was a casual reader, read this and said this is one of his personal favorite books. So I was really intrigued to try this one. This was the Slappyworld book I had on my radar to try. And after reading it, I'm hard confident to say that this is a hidden gem of a book. This really is a hidden gem. I know it's kind of recent, and it's a very recent book to kind of declare that to be the case, but I don't hear many people talking about this book. It's not quite there on my love scale for other books that I love, but I love a lot about this book. This book feels very unique. To kind of give you a rundown of what it kind of feels like the most, if you've ever seen John Carpenter's The Thing, this story is pretty much a direct homage to that concept, but also take elements from former Goosebumps stories like I Am Your Evil Twin and Full Moon Fever, and you throw them all into a blender, and this is essentially the book you get. This book feels different, and I can definitely see how parts of this book might rub people the wrong way. There are parts of it that rub me the wrong way, and I do have my negatives with it. I don't want to say it's a perfect book. It has its problems, but I really enjoy this. I was pleasantly surprised. So shout out to everyone who was recommending this book to me. Yeah, at least for modern standards, this is easily top 5 moderns that I've read so far. Maybe top 10. I don't know. We'll get there. So yeah, let's get into the plot overview without giving too much away. So the story starts off in this carnival setting called Carnival World. And Carnival World takes place in this small town where these two kids, Jordan and Carla, reside. Now Jordan is the main character of the story, and Jordan is the brother to Carla. Carla is this girl who likes scary things, likes adventure, and Jordan is kind of afraid of everything, slightly. He fits into that archetype, but the relationship they have kind of, off the bat, takes me back because they both are very sly towards each other, and they both understand each other to the point where the picking and the nagging, like, transcends most Goosebumps books off the bat. There's still a found respect there for each other. There's not any hatred or animosity, which is really refreshing. But anyways, I'm getting sidetracked. So Jordan and Carla are there to ride this attraction called the Tunnel of Fear. And Jordan, of course, does not want to ride the ride, but Carla really wants to. And since their parents decided to go off and leave the kids to ride the ride, Jordan feels kind of pressured to go on, even though he doesn't want to go on. But he goes on the ride with Carla, hops in the tram, and then as the ride goes near the middle of the ride, the tram randomly stops and the cars stop moving. And they wait there for quite a while in the pitch black. They can't see anything, so they decide to get out and maybe go try to search for somebody for help. And Jordan, as he's searching, there's some pretty creepy stuff in this tunnel. Like, there's like random wooden mannequins laying in the dark. Like, very weird. Here's some women screaming in the tunnel. It's really unnerving. Like, if I was in that setting and I heard that, like a haunted house attraction type of thing, I would be nervous too. So, very relatable stuff here. So, he's nervous about these mannequins. He hears this woman scream. And then he feels something touch him. And he keeps trying to call for Carla. He's panicking now. He's trying to get out. And Carla, when he finally finds Carla, Carla's like, "Why are you panicking?" And Jordan, he's like, "I don't like these things." And that, it's still part of that relationship that I really dig. And they both kind of work together as the cars start moving. They eventually make their way out of the ride. And they're really dissatisfied by the ride, and they see the carnival owner guy, or a carnival worker, I forget what it is. And they say what happened, and they get free chocolate or free candy. And the kids are like, okay, well, let's go find mom and dad. We had a rough time in there. Let's just try to go home. And while they're opening their candy, they see this path that leads to this random cage at the end of the park. Now, this cage is the source of this entire book. Please do not feed the weirdo. I don't know why it's a wooden crate kind of thing, but I guess it works. But anyway, they get to this cage, and they see this boy inside of this cage, and they see this sign on the cage that says, "Please do not feed the weirdo," as the title of the book. So the two are then, stricken, like, hey, there's a boy in there. Let's try to talk to the boy. The boy reveals his name to be Robbie. And Robbie may or may not be the son of the carnival worker who owns the carnival. And he expresses to the kids that he's really hungry, he's very weak, and he's asking them to give him some food. And the kids feel bad because this kid is inside of this cage, but there's a warning sign, and against their better judgment, they both are like, okay, well, you can have some of our chocolate. And when Robbie takes a bite of the chocolate, that's when everything just falls apart for the characters here. So Robbie starts morphing into this animalistic beast that kind of resembles a colorful green bear. And when he turns into this beast, he vomits orange vomit projectilely across like a fire hydrant would, like with water, and it gets all over Jordan, and it's completely gross. And like I said, the vomiting thing is like projectile, and you're going to see this throughout the story. Just be forewarned. So Jordan gets puked on, and Robbie escapes the cage and causes mayhem across the carnival. And what happens is that the kids feel like they have to, find their parents, and they do. And the parents are wondering why everybody's freaking out, and they just go home, and the kids don't want to talk about it because they feel like they've done something really bad. Now, when they get home, Robbie may or may not have followed Jordan home. And so Jordan, is trying to talk with, Robbie, and, trying to convince him to leave. He's like, I'm sorry. He's back in his human form. He's like, hey, I'm sorry. I apologize. I'm still hungry. Can you give me some food? And he kind of explains he has this condition and tries to convince Jordan to kind of lighten up a little bit. So Jordan brings him up some food, and of course that turns into another situation where Robbie again shows his true colors and vomits, and I believe this is where he gets it onto the kitchen and causes a huge mess and tries to scare Robbie off. And Robbie flees, and when the parents come down to notice what happened in the kitchen, that's when Jordan and Carla come clean about Robbie. Now, Robbie is this beast kind of character, just remember that. And the parents, upon hearing this news, believe the kids. For once in a Goosebumps book, the parents actually believe the kids, which is really refreshing here. So they say, we'll open the windows, air out some of this vomit smell here, and then we'll go back to the carnival and try to see what's going on, because there's tracks and he's missing. So maybe the carnival worker, since he had him caged up, would know what to do. So they drive to the carnival, and nobody's there. It's closed on that day they go. And the family hops out, and they're trying to find the carnival owner. And then they're greeted by the carnival owner, says, hey, leave, you're trespassing. And then the family, stands their ground, kind of startled. And then he recognizes Jordan specifically and says, hey, I know you. And he goes, yeah, so something happened, and Robbie escaped. And the worker says, you cannot feed him. You cannot trust him. Please, please, if you want to come back here for life, since you try to help me, that's great. But I already recaptured him, so just for future reference, don't feed him again. So the family's like, oh wow, so you captured Robbie, that's cool. And they get, free minutes for life. So later on that night, while Jordan is in his bedroom, he is startled by a surprise visit by Robbie, who basically tells Jordan that he was actually the carnival worker there that day. He just wanted to apologize. And, he's asking for more food. And Jordan doesn't want to give it to him. And he tries to, mess with him and kind of trick him to make him think that he's going to get him food. And he tells Carla, he's like, no, I'm going to go grab Dad and tell him that Robbie's here. And then when they come back to check on Jordan's room to see if Robbie was still there, Robbie had fled. So then it cuts to the next day, and Jordan and Carla are walking to school. And they bump into the carnival worker, the carnival owner. And Jordan immediately does not buy. This is where the story starts to get, where Jordan is starting to get very paranoid. He doesn't know who to trust. If you've seen John Carpenter's The Thing, you'll know the characters in that movie start to grow very suspicious of people around them. And it's very reminiscent in this part, where Jordan and Carla basically accuse the carnival owner for being Robbie. And the carnival owner's like, no, I'm looking for Robbie. He's dangerous. You shouldn't feed him. And that wasn't me yesterday where you went to visit the carnival, after Jordan and Carla explained that to him. And they made him prove that he wasn't Robbie by eating something, because when Robbie eats something, he has a certain reaction. And after the carnival owner proves that he is who he is, they agree to, keep each other posted. And the carnival owner said that, gave him a card, says, contact me in case you find Robbie. So after that altercation happens, they run into Jordan's friend Bernardo. And Bernardo's this comedic character who likes to eat food. And this is where the story gets, very suspense-filled, because Bernardo tends to forget his breakfast every morning, or doesn't pack a lunch or something. And Jordan usually gives him food. But Jordan's very suspicious about who Robbie could be posing as. So he tries to deny Bernardo at first, but then he kind of caves in and gives him a bag of nachos or something. And Bernardo eats it. But and then after he eats it, it's just revealed that Bernardo is just Bernardo. And so Jordan feels okay about that. When he arrives to his class, his teacher wants him to talk about what happened at the carnival the other day, because the whole town knows. And Jordan is told to tell a true story. That's part of the assignment. So Jordan's like, okay, I guess I'll tell the truth. But before that could happen, this new kid comes to class. And Jordan immediately starts to have the suspicion that this new kid has to be Robbie. There's certain features that look like Robbie when he's in his human form. So when this new kid gets sat next to him, he gets kind of nervous. He doesn't know how to really act. He wants to blurt out to his teacher that this new kid is Robbie, this escaped beast. But he can't do it. So he finds a way. He tries to do the story as he wants to do it. He's going to tell the whole truth. And he goes up and tells the entire ordeal from his perspective. And everybody seems pretty scared. Everybody thought it was a good story. But his teacher kind of chastises him in front of the class, saying, well, that's not a true story. I'll give you a second chance after everybody's done with their stories. So all the other kids share their stories. But before anything could happen, the teacher expresses that she's hungry. And one of the kids give her some food, and sure enough, plot twist, the teacher is Robbie. So, like, that is a mild spoiler, but the teacher's Robbie, and the kids start freaking out, and, you know, teacher Robbie starts spewing vomit everywhere, and of course escapes. And this is where the story, you know, goes from there. So, as they're trying to leave the school in the pandemonium, they get their parents to come pick them up, or they were supposed to come pick them up that day, but they forgot to call, and they decided to walk home, and it happened to be raining. And while they're walking, they encounter the new kid, and they invite the new kid to come walk with them, because, you know, he's new, he had a crazy first day, and he's on the way home while they're walking home, so it couldn't hurt. And you know, Jordan comes clean to the new kid, saying, "Hey, you know, I'm sorry, but I thought at first you were the monster." And then another plot twist happens. Surprise! It's Robbie disguising himself as the new kid. And Robbie then grabs Carla and Jordan by their throats, takes them into a garage, and basically threatens them to give him food. And they're his protectors now. They're supposed to be watching him since they freed him. And he's going to pose as this new kid and come over for dinner later that night. So, against Jordan and Carla's wishes, they allow it, and the new kid comes over, and the dad is deciding to barbecue some food, some hot dogs and hamburgers. And there's this crazy scene where the fake new kid comes up to the grill and just takes hot food off the grill, like piping hot food, piping hot dogs and like semi-cooked hamburger meat, and just downs it, and creates a huge mess, almost causes a fire. The violence is ramped up. The father falls on his face, like, and gets essentially knocked out. Got the wind knocked out of him. This scene was probably my favorite scene in the whole book, mind you. And he then comes back to eat all the hot dog buns and the hamburger buns, causing mayhem and destruction. They're trying to put out these charcoals that fell on the patio, and this entire thing just gets ramped up and elevated to now Jordan and his family feel like they have to find the carnival worker again and go talk with him, because they saw him, and it's about time they set up a trap to capture Robbie. So they go back to the carnival. They meet with the carnival owner, and he looks like he's lost a lot of sleep. He can't sleep. He can't believe that the beast that he had caged has, you know, wreaked havoc across town. So Jordan says, "Well, hey, look, my class is coming here tomorrow for a picnic. This will be a perfect plan to set up and capture Robbie." So they set up this plan, and the next day happens, and they go to the carnival. The entire class goes, and Jordan tries to execute the plan to capture Robbie. But the problem is he doesn't know who Robbie could be disguised as. And after waiting around for Robbie to show up, after letting Robbie know the night before when he randomly came by to apologize for what he did at the barbecue and his plea to ask for food, and Jordan was like, "You fooled me once, fooled me twice, I'm not doing this again." But he purposely mentions the picnic at the carnival so Robbie would come. But after waiting a while for Robbie to come, he just never showed up, and it was time to stop eating, throw away the food, and then go ride some rides. And his friend Bernardo talks him into going on the Tunnel of Fear with him. And this is where the twist ending happens. Might be slightly predictable, but a twist ending happens here. Something on the lines of Jordan and Robbie have a final interaction, and something may happen to either one. And the story leaves it kind of on a dark and a cliffhanger-y note. And that's essentially, please do not feed the weirdo. Yeah, a lot happens in this story. It's a lot to remember, lots of ups and downs. But yeah, this was a pretty solid book. I want to start off with the positives I had with it. Like, Jordan and Carla's relationship was very refreshing. I liked how they stood up to each other. I liked how they were honest with each other. I liked how the relationship stayed strong throughout the read. That was pretty well done. The opening to the book was fantastic. I love the opening to the book. It throws you right into atmosphere, right into this carnival setting. Had some eerie tension going on, some mystery where the story was heading. I really enjoyed the opening. The character of Robbie, although gross at times, which I'll get into the negatives in a minute, he felt pretty unique. He felt like the alien from The Thing. Like, he felt like that, except with its own little twist going on. I liked how unique the character felt. I loved how the parents were involved in this story. The parents actually believed Robbie and Carla. It was really refreshing to have that change of pace. You don't see that too often. And some of these, the ramping up of the violence as the story goes on, and some of these scenes, like the classroom scene with the twist with the teacher, that really got me. The ramp up of the violence when Robbie grabs the kid's throats, and then, you know, the dad gets knocked out, and there's almost a fire started, and he's like taking piping hot food and eating it. That was great stuff. It was pretty fun. It's not the most in-depth thing. The characters aren't the most fleshed out, characterized characters ever, but it was a fun time. I was really engrossed into the story. And yeah, there are some things that go unexplained, but my mind got to fill in the blanks a little bit. And it's one of those books that some people confuse some of this stuff as plot holes, but this is a perfect example of a book where there's just enough not revealed to where your mind can fill in the blanks, and it's more fun that way, if you ask me, sometimes. Would I have wished for a solid answer with certain things? That would have helped a little bit. But for a 135-page book, the adventure going on in my mind was something special. It felt unique for the series from what I've read. It's pretty standout in its own regard. So, yeah, really great book for the most part, but it does have its negatives. And I really only have 2 negatives here, plus one I'm not going to deduct points on. I'll talk about the one I'm not going to deduct points on, and that is the concepts introduced in the story of how, like, Robbie got caged in the first place. That was something that never went really explained. The owner said he had wishes to try to tame him, but the origins of Robbie is never really elaborated on. But you can kind of infer that since he's at a carnival, he's some type of carnival freak. Maybe he's a mutant or something. My mind was filling in the blanks for that. I think there's just enough information there to chew on, at the very least. Would I have wished for more? Sure. But I'm not going to deduct any points because I think the information shared was just enough to make the story kind of make sense. Okay? It's not the most glaring plot hole ever. It does skim on some details here and there, but nothing I would really deduct points on. I mean, some of the best Goosebumps books have this same issue. So nothing really to deduct points on. But the ones I will deduct points on is something about Robbie. Now, Robbie, when he eats, he pukes, right? This is one thing I don't understand about the character. I know it's kind of inserted as an like a identifier to know when Robbie is showing up, when he reveals himself as who he's disguised as, because he has his shape-shifting ability. But the puking never added anything to the horror. It only added comedy. There's a scene later on where he pukes all over the mom, and that was kind of funny. That one puking scene I'll let slide. But for the majority of the read, the puking did nothing but just to offer gross out into the story. And I felt that it was kind of bordering that unnecessary gross out. And I view that as a negative. Not the highest hitting negative, but when it's unnecessary like that, yeah. They could have done another identifier instead of puking, but I digress. And the other ending, the other thing I have a problem with is the ending itself. I know I didn't touch on it in the plot overview, but the ending is straight out of another Goosebumps book. I don't want to spoil the ending for the Goosebumps book this is taking from, but it's essentially just copy and pasted out of that. It's not the most original ending. And also, it kind of feels contrived. It feels very forced. Felt like it was just inserted there for the sake of a twist. Like, this concept could have been done early on in the story, And I think that would have been way more fun. You know, it would have been more of a retread of a specific book I may or may not have mentioned earlier. But I think it would have made the book a little more fun doing that. And I just don't get why Stein waited till the 11th hour to throw this in as the twist. Feels very forced. Not the greatest ending for this certain book here. I mean, I guess it's okay, but it's not a great ending. And I do have problems with it. So that is another negative. But that being said, with those problems, from a 0 to 5 stars, I thought I was leaning on a 4.4 to a 4.6. And with those problems with the ending and the puking with Robbie that really just got to me, I only deducted 0.5 for those issues collectively, and I gave this book a 4.5 out of 5. It's a low A, but it's really good for a modern book. I really recommend this. This is another one of those solid Slappyworld books that aren't Slappy-centered. So surprisingly dug this. So, yeah, that's my review of Please Do Not Feed the Weirdo. Let me know down in the comment section if you have read this book before. Do you love this or do you hate this? I'm dying to know. And I'll see you next time.